I just wanted you to talk about the part where you shot your friend who had been attacked by a wolf.
That awesome.
That was amazing.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Not a pole dancer.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universes.
I got you. That one got you.
Listen. So much context is needed. So much context is needed.
Yes. Is there, though? Listen to the outtakes. You'll hear it.
All right, fair enough. Listen to the outtakes. That will explain everything. So.
A squishy pole dancer.
Yes. Wait, I thought you said not a pole dancer. Now I'm all confused. I'm not. No. I do find it funny I just noticed this in my intro, which I do have written out so that it's easier for me just to say all this stuff. That it says, I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins, parentheses, pause, and then Danae Hughes, no pause needed. It's like
I had a teacher in high school that the legend was the urban legend, not urban legend, but the people theorized that in his notes he had like a parentheses of like drink takes a sip from coffee mug.
Right, like everything is so intentional that you just feel like it's all scripted. Yeah.
I got a question. Why do you have to pause for Jonathan, whom you know will say hello, but not me, who you do not know what I will do?
I don't know. I was trying to figure this out. I was trying to think it
seems backwards.
If psychologically, like I want to make sure Jonathan knows he has the opportunity to say his thing, whereas like I know you'll just say whatever you want to say. Like I don't have to.
That's true. That's true.
To wait. I don't know. I don't remember when I wrote it. I just found it a little bit humorous. Next in my notes, by the way, says SinSide Scoop. So let's get into it. Let's do the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, and how we felt about the stuff we've been sinning this past week. We'll kick it off with commercial sins. Interestingly enough, for our Sin Club members, they've had this video for, a week and a half? It's been crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a little mix-up. So we're going to talk about the one we released for the Sin Club last week that is now going live, Hidden Valley Ranch BFD, and that is Danae's script. Danae writing on this one.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So this is one that was interesting because it's my first time to do a commercial sin, and I chose this one from the list that we are keeping of commercials that were suggested when we opened up the Commercial Sins Twitter account. So I just kind of went in and copy and pasted suggestions. So we kind of are working our way through those just so you guys know we're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that I did a terrible job when I only had like 10 sins or something.
Uh-huh.
But the commercial is only 15 seconds long.
Right.
And so I just had to calm myself down. But it was one where I was just like, I've got to go back in and find more. And I'm like, this is a really short commercial. This is fine. It's fine. I actually sent it to Barrett, though, because I needed his opinion on grilling. Because I make a grilling sin. I'm like, can you just check my work here? Because I don't know anything.
One. He's the one to ask about that stuff.
I know.
That's for sure.
He's like our grilling expert. So, and he said it was fine. So I was like, okay.
I mean, have you actually tasted the food, though? I mean,
I haven't. That's true.
Totally joking.
He's our perceived grilling expert, at least.
Barrett is a wonderful cook.
I believe it. What were some of your thoughts on the commercial or the sins or all that stuff? Like, this is your baby.
It's different to sin commercials. We talked about this a little bit in our a chat that we had in our staff, just as we're talking about like what it is like to sin commercial sins. It's different because it's more like MVS, very jokey. There are going to be sins, sure, but you're looking for the jokes more than you're looking for consistency and stuff, which is fun and it's fine. And it's a different, like you're really just having to access that joke space, which is sometimes not easy to do. And the chat's already getting
you.
It's all you, right?
It's all
like,
you.
don't
You're
have
not writing with a partner. Yeah.
No, the system for commercial sins is that, one person writes And then when Chris goes in, he will see which ones he wants to put into production. And he will read the script and make a decision if something needs to be cut or tweaked. And that has happened a couple of times, but for the most part, it's just whatever you write is whatever goes. And it is a little bit nerve-wracking, but I love how in the chat we've already got someone who says, wow, Danae's shaming us for liking massive bowls of mac and cheese. That's the stuff. Like, you're just looking for around going, what can I sin here? And this woman is at this table talking about this essentially packet flavor of ranch dressing. And there's this massive bowl of macaroni and cheese. And you're just thinking, like, that's a lot of macaroni and cheese. I will make too much. Making too much pasta is a problem. When I'm making pasta just for myself, I come out with pasta for 10 because I do not know how. I'll grab a chunk and be like, yeah, that looks about good. And you just,
my wife is the same. She'll say she doesn't know how to cook for 3 people.
It's insane. They actually make these little plastic things that have pre-cut holes in them where and it says the portions on there so that you can like put it over the top of the noodles. And then that is what gives you a better clue as to how much pasta to make. But these people make too much pasta.
We have that. Now that I think through this, though, she might, because I'm the main one that cooks now, so she might just be saying that, so I'll cook.
Yeah.
No, she really has a hard time. She makes a lot of food.
If I do the laundry, it'll shrink.
Can you have enough? Can you have too much mac and cheese, though?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. Because what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it in the refrigerator and reheat it? Like, reheating macaroni and cheese sucks.
Oh, no. You add milk to it.
I do.
Oh,
and it sucks.
Oh.
I'm doing it wrong.
It's not as good, but I don't think it sucks. You can add butter to it, too. You can do whatever you want.
So much problems for those of us with IBS. I'm just going to say that.
Jonathan, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan,
I
did you watch Malcolm and Marie? Did you ever get around to seeing Malcolm and Marie?
No, I did not.
There is a whole macaroni and cheese like subplot to Malcolm and Marie that this is reminding me of, and yeah,
that's the Lakeith Stanfield
or
whatever. Is that his?
It's Washington.
Oh yeah, John David. Is it John Washington? Yeah. And
Zendaya.
What's her name from Thor? Oh, Zendaya. Yeah. Okay, I was thinking it was
Zendaya.
God, I can't think of it.
Is it Zendaya or Zendaya?
I don't know. I don't know. I just found out the actor Ruben Blades. I just found out I never knew this. It's pronounced Blades apparently because he's
anyhow.
I've been calling him Ruben Blades for like 40 years.
Anyhow, I come down more on the make as much mac and cheese as you want. It's good for days side of the equation. Just freshen it up with a little bit of milk and it should be delicious.
My favorite sin is based on the delivery of the "you shut your mouth." I love that one so much.
Yeah, that's so good.
But yeah, it was an interesting. Or no, he says, "You watch your mouth, young man." That's what it was. You watch your mouth, young man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like ranch dressing. I don't like any dressings really.
Big surprise.
I was just thinking. Usually there's at least something that I enjoy about it. So yeah, like I've never gotten this thing of like I'm eating something that just doesn't taste good enough unless I put something else on it, and it's like, well, then why are you eating that thing? I don't know.
Question.
Yeah.
Question. No. There's many different reasons to use condiments.
Sure, I agree. I'm oversimplifying it.
My wife and I are huge condiment people.
Yeah, I'm being very reductive. Totally.
I know. But what do you put on salad, or do you just not eat salad?
When I eat salad, it's plain. I just eat lettuce.
Do you put like vegetables in there though, right? Like tomatoes or cheese or something?
Not necessarily. I have.
So you just eat like a bag of lettuce?
Yeah. I'll just have some lettuce.
I know people that do that. That's fine. Lettuce doesn't taste like anything, but that's fine.
It most certainly does. It tastes like lettuce.
Tastes like grass.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Not that I eat grass all the time. So this
all
one
the time. All the time. Just
guys, I'm
you guys
not a
want
huge
to know how Aaron
grass
mows
eater.
his yard? Aaron, his wife just holds up his legs and then he just eats.
Yeah, that's how we mow. It's just it's what you do.
Try to get to sleep with that nightmare image in your head now.
I did, however, love this video. Of course, the initials had to be sinned in various different ways, and I really appreciated that. I loved the sin about gripping a tiny tub of seasoning while grilling. That should have been rubbed on the meat before now. If the dry rub falls off often enough that you need a flip can of ranch seasoning at the ready, you're dry rubbing wrong. And just the phrase dry rubbing wrong made me laugh quite a bit. So that was good stuff.
It helps that I don't know how to grill, so I don't actually know terminology. I just made it up.
Right. I'm right there with you. There with you. Jonathan, what are some of your thoughts?
We always, I could go open my pantry right now and show you that not only do we have ranch, we have about 4 or 5 different flavors of ranch. We are big ranch people.
You're a big flavor delivery family.
Yeah. I don't know. We've never done the seasoning though. But I mean, actual ranch dressing, and we are exclusively Hidden Valley.
Oh.
I don't know. That's just what we've always gotten. And I've never ventured into other territories, but yeah, man, salad, French fries, steak,
pizza. My boys eat it with pizza all the time.
My wife and daughter do. I can't do that. My wife and daughter do. I use garlic for pizza sometimes, but I can't do ranch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're Hidden Valley people. We're BFD people. We're all about the BFD.
We're
watch
BFD
your mouth.
Family.
In the Watkins household.
You watch your mouth, young man.
The WHD. So you guys mentioned a couple that I had down. The one I had down, I don't think you've mentioned, was also word out around the street. Is the definition of BFD at the HVR HQ has been updated to mean big fucking disaster. I thought that was very funny.
It's great. It's great.
I love when we play around with initials and
yes.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I felt like there were more in there, and I was like, I kind of want other people to write on this because there are some things to mine here.
Yeah, it's really...
I would die, though, if my daughter said, "Hey, Daddy, it's time for BFD." I'd be like, I don't know what that is.
Let me get your mother. Sounds like you need to have a talk with her, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think that's a talk we have together, so...
I just wrote my first commercial sins recently, and it is an interesting experience. I wasn't looking for plaudits. I was just saying. I think I'm the last person to write one. But it was an interesting experience because you're right. There is that part of you that's like, I like someone else writing with me because it sharpens me, right? I like someone else who can, tell me where my shtick is going too far, or, that can, add the thing that they're good at that I'm not quite as good at.
Yeah.
But it's a good exercise for us, I think. It's really good to come face to face with what your own style and sense of humor sounds like when it's just you,
Yeah.
It is different. I had written a couple of music video sins by myself just for like Barrett was out of town or something, but I hadn't done it much. So yeah, it's very different when you write one of these.
Yeah. All right, let's move into TV sins. We are still going through Rick and Morty's new season. Episode 6 we sinned this week. For some reason, Thanksgiving episode, the Thanksplotation Spectacular. Jonathan and Danae writing on this one as per the theme this week. So yeah, what'd you guys think of this episode? Jonathan, let's start with you.
It was I don't know. I'm confused. I don't remember what the actual rating on this one was on IMDb, but it was higher than the sperm episode that everybody just hated. And I don't know. I guess it's just.
I mean, everybody hated is a little bit of an overstatement, but yes, it was.
I know,
it was
but,
less
but
liked
I mean,
for
just
sure.
the general consensus, and the general consensus for this one, I guess, was that it was decent. This just fell pretty much 100% flat for me. Like it just didn't hit me. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It just fell flat for me. I mean, it was weird, and I know Rick and Morty does that a lot, but it wasn't weird like in a funny way. It was just kind of like, I don't get any of this, and I'm not laughing. The only thing I did find kind of funny was Jerry's refusal to not have Thanksgiving. There was something about that I found hilarious or funny, amusing, that, there's that one part where all this shit's going on and they're just sitting there eating Thanksgiving dinner and they're getting on to Rick for arguing at the table. And I don't know,
Jerry's the best.
That was kind of amusing.
I think Jerry's
to me.
the best.
I think he might be my favorite person on this show. But yeah, no, I didn't find this funny. And there was it was really easy to send for the most part because, like, there was the whole thing about just the stuff like the turkey looking like the president, like that didn't make any sense. That was a pretty, there was just a lot of stuff like that. So, but yeah, just did not enjoy it as far as personal, preference. And then a couple of the sins I really liked. I love Danae's observation of wearing heels on a lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, she follows it with also wearing socks with heels on a lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like the one about where they're just talking about, like, you know, no one was harmed or whatever. And then the narrator's just like, forgetting Fincher and fucking Rodriguez.
I know. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Just out of context, I mean, you know, you'd have to watch the video, but when you're watching it, it's hilarious. And then I loved also the observation of let it be known that it cannot be an official episode of Rick and Morty until a questionable egg dish has been placed on the dining room table. This is something that has bothered Danae from like day one with Rick and Morty, or
and
the egg
Aaron
dishes,
too,
I think.
Yeah, I write some of those too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess I just assumed Danae had written all of them.
No.
But
that's okay. Then they're fun.
Yeah. Danae, what about you?
Yeah, this one was an interesting and easy one to sin. I think like there's so many different parts of it that like kind of fall apart as you're watching it. There's this whole expositional series where it's, you know, the president going back and forth. It cuts back and forth between the president and Rick, who are plotting out this whole Thanksgiving shenanigans that we come to understand happens regularly, which is that Rick is trying to get a pardon for all of his crimes or whatever by becoming a turkey.
I can't even remember what he did.
It had to do with the very beginning with the...
he shot a laser that went straight around the world, even though apparently it was aimed too far up for Danae.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess we're talking about that now. Let's have our
I like
therapy.
how I got yelled at too.
Let's have our therapy time. Let's have our therapy time.
It really is fine. I just didn't understand it. I just didn't understand the sin. It's okay. Sometimes one of us doesn't understand the sin, and the person who's leading the sin, you're leading the script, gets to make the call. So there you go.
Didn't I cut it?
No, you left.
No, it's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah.
No, because I said let's just keep it.
Yeah, because you care about me, Jonathan. Because you're my friend.
I liked the sin, but my point was you should make the decision. You wrote the sin, so it's whatever you want to do, and you took that to me, and I didn't want it, and then you yelled at both of us.
I hate it.
You do, yeah.
I don't enjoy being a lead. It's my least favorite part of my job. Is being like,
I think I was the lead on this one.
I was just a final call, you know. But at the same time, I also am a control freak, so it's a constant struggle. I understand working with me is just a massive pain in the ass.
It's just a bag of contradictions sometimes.
But the whole thing back and forth is that they all know each other's plan, and then there's also then confusion about the plan, and so there was some easy stuff to send. We did apparently miss the DNA thing, which apparently the explanation of the pill DNA was explained in the song, and so we have a sin very specific about there's no reason for this to have worked because it shouldn't have the president's DNA inside of it, but apparently the song explained that, and I hate
it.
That
does.
I missed that.
I mean, it does a little bit, but you know, again, we're gonna miss. Yeah,
apparently.
we all missed it. We're all gonna miss something every once in a while. You know.
But you know, the comments we get to. So every once in a while, we'll make a mistake, and it's a reminder of how quickly the comment section turns into a roast fest. And I am happy to say I'm still not bothered by it.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting to be such. Like we're not exactly public figures necessarily. Like we have a very public job that a lot of people interact with because we're trying to entertain a lot of people. And so it sucks when we quote unquote get something wrong, especially when there's an explanation for it within the show that we just missed. But that the narrative of the comments is often that we just don't give a fuck. And I think what I love about this outlet for behind the scene, the sins, where we go behind the scenes, is that we get to talk to those who like know what we do and how much we care about it and how much work goes into it. Like how many times we watch each episode, or how many times we go over the notes, and how many times we review it, and how many times we go back over the edits. Like it's a massive process, and you guys know that listen. But there is a greater portion of the audience that interacts with our stuff that doesn't realize that we actually care a lot about what we do. But it's really interesting to read those comments, and I didn't feel like I needed to respond to them or that I had to explain myself. So that was a really cool feeling today when I went back over some of the notes.
Yeah,
but it's still. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but it still makes other things about it confusing, which we did send the fact that how did the president get changed back?
Yes,
sure,
because he no longer had it. So you know, I don't know.
There's a lot to sin. and we're going to miss some things that some people think are obvious, and we're going to send something that could technically be a mistake that we can actually explain away, right? We could go, the sin is still there. And we actually said that a lot on the show when we were kind of going over different angles that the comment section will bring up. But there's still something to sin there. We might have written it differently had we realized that it was part of the song. But yeah, so this was an interesting one.
We pursue accuracy because it's funnier. It's funnier when you're right. It's not quite as funny when you're wrong. That's why we at the end of the day, our goal isn't to be like a list of things that are wrong with something. That's not our ultimate goal, is to have fun being that nitpicking mentality. So that's kind of part one that I always tell myself when the comments kind of, land on something that we've made a mistake about, is like, yeah, that's okay. We made a mistake, and that makes that joke maybe a little less funny, but we're still having a good time together, right? And then the second part of it is, of course, people are going to nitpick us. Like, that's what we do. So the people who like that idea of finding those flaws and pointing them out, of course they're going to tell us when we make a mistake. That should be expected and normal, and we're cool with it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it in especially in a fun way, that's even better. Like, if you have a fun way to tell us that we've made a mistake, that's what we're all about. Is the humor and the
I definitely I do see those respectful ones. Yeah, and there are people that just have a good time, and they'll point things out. They'll explain things that we missed or something. But there was just a little bit more like of that flippancy, and so it was nice to kind of feel the distance from that.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite sins is like the delivery of "that's racist," which was pretty good. Shimmering your prostate. Was
I wrote that one down too. Yeah.
I actually tried to find out if there was something called shimmering. I decided not to click on some things. I'll just say that.
Yeah. You listen, every verb has some definition at the Urban Dictionary that's, going to be a little bit interesting. Yeah.
The very clear sin that there were 6 turkifiers and then fewer on the next round, or 8 down to 6. That was a really fun observation. And then like Jonathan said, just like forgetting about Fincher and Rodriguez. I thought that was a pretty big problem with this episode.
Like, all of a sudden there's 2 things gone or whatever. That's something I've noticed in a lot of things. Like, we send that in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because that boat doesn't have enough seats to fit 2 of the people. So if dude doesn't, drown in the river.
Yeah. Isn't that strange?
Where are they writing,
Yeah. It's so strange.
And I know from a set designer, they want to fill everything up,
right.
But it's just, they're not thinking about that. But it is funny though.
Yeah.
Yep. But I had a good time writing this one. So
I think overall, I may have liked this episode a little more than you guys, although I didn't love it. It's not my favorite of the season. I think I really dug the President Rick shtick, and Keith David is so much fun, and I like his performance in this. It wouldn't be in the top echelon of my Rick and Morty episodes, but I had a good time with it.
I like that his rivalry with Rick is more important to him than running the country.
Right.
I think that's
exactly.
hilarious.
Yeah, I love I love that whole thing. So yeah, I enjoyed that. The only sin that you guys had mentioned that I had written down was the one that was because bird stomachs are just filled with air. So when you punch them, whatever's inside just cannons to the outside. Super scientific. Like, I just loved the way that one was worded in the observation. So I thought I'd mention that one too. All right, let's move on to the Loki. The Loki this week is Journey into Mystery. It is the penultimate episode of the first season. And this was the one where we really get the majority of the world building of this prison that they send people to, which heretofore we had been led to believe was maybe
death or something.
Yeah, annihilation.
You
some
just
sort.
cease to exist from any timeline at all. But
you can get annihilated by Goliath. I mean, you could get annihilated.
That's true. Apparently, that still is a thing that happens to most of these people.
No, he was a lion.
It's true. We should have seen that. Oh wait, we did. This was also a Jonathan and Danae script, as per the theme this week. So yeah, Danae, why don't you kick us off with some of your thoughts on this episode and the sins?
Yeah, there's interesting things happening here where we're finally getting out of the very, very, very boring TVA, and that's exciting. I mean, we did get to go like planet hopping for some, end of the world stuff. That's true, but now it's different. Now we're like we're out of it, and or at least we think we are, and maybe we're moving on to something where we're actually Loki versing. Or at least we think we are. I think for me, there's a couple things that took me, as I'm sinning it, that took me out pretty quickly. The idea that if these, so when the episode starts, you're looking at this like group of Lokis from these different universes. And I guess my assumption ruins a bit of what the reality is, or maybe the reality ruins it because my assumption would have been a better idea. I thought we were going to be in maybe like a kingdom or something, or there's just people, like something there, because but instead we're in this wasteland where a group of Lokis just happened to be walking by when another Loki appeared, and I can't get over that unless I'm missing something. I cannot get over that.
Well, I can kind of tell you what I think the explanation is supposed to be.
Sure.
Is that because Loki is who he is through all his versions, he is a survivor. Like that, like Loki's thing is he uses his sneakiness, his wit, his beguiling to just somehow survive. Even when he dies, he survives. And so the idea that this world where all the, people are sent who don't belong in timelines, all of them die except the Lokis, because the Lokis, that's their thing. They just survive. And so they have their system, and then these people, this group is out there looking for Lokis, throughout. So I think that's the idea. Whether that works for you or not, like that's, totally a different story. But I think that is the idea, is that the Lokis are the ones that survive this world because they're Lokis.
Yeah, but that still doesn't make a lot of sense, in that this is still a massive world where they're like, we got to keep moving. We can't stay in the same spot. And they live in a hunkered underground layer. Why would they go near an Alioth?
I don't think it's a massive world. I don't think it's like...
It felt pretty big.
I think it's a really small planet. Like the zoom in we see, especially in I know this is next episode, but we see a zoom in on the area, and that castle like takes up like the entire top of this tiny little planet. So I don't think there's a lot of real estate.
Okay.
Which visually, then you should see the curvature of the planet a little bit more, but yeah.
Well, we forgot to send that part.
Yes, we did. We forgot that.
I don't know. I just thought that was obviously they have to meet up. Meet up. I just thought that it was very on a show where I feel like they're just doing a lot of easy things to tell a story. Mm-hmm. It was another easy thing on top of it, so it just soured my experience. And then we get to the part where, you've got these versions of Loki. So for Loki fans, this is really exciting and stuff. And for Marvel fans, all the Easter eggs are really exciting on this episode as well. And there are a lot of them. There are blogs upon blogs that are dedicated to breaking down so much of what you see in this particular episode, and previous as well. But this one in particular was like just a gag fest for it. So you've got these Lokis that have these powers, and that's very interesting. But if the illusions fail for Alioth, why do they succeed in the fight? Mm-hmm. And those are the questions that linger at the end of this as a person who is sitting the episode. As a person who is trying to enjoy the episode, I think that we're still just watching this particular Loki find the heart that we, the viewer, want him to have. And we get to see that in various ways in this particular episode. So that continues to be a bit interesting if that's what you're here for. But I had a lot about this episode. I loved our script together. I thought it was a lot of fun to do. But yeah, I could tell you about them a little bit, I guess. One of the ones I really enjoyed was the alcoholic beverage one, because if you zoom in on that thing, this is one where I can't believe I didn't tell them to zoom in. When I was watching it back, I was like, why didn't I have them zoom in? It just points to the label, and we asked the audience to believe, but we didn't actually zoom in on the text. And I can't believe I didn't do that, because usually we do. But the text actually says that you will become pregnant if you drink, rather than a warning. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Got to mention the Kermit Doozer fashion choices of the, I guess, original Loki. I think Marvel fans love to see the wink and nod to the old costumes, like in WandaVision when they have their Halloween episode and they get to dress up in their old costumes. And so it's just interesting to see how costumes have evolved so much. So, but yeah, I liked the premise of the two Lokis. I think Jonathan did a good job of pointing out like that the premise of this is that there's two Lokis and there's these different variants and things like this. I wrote down so much. This is one where I wrote down too many sins that I enjoyed, and I'm kind of uncomfortable just keeping talking about it. So I'm gonna let you guys go.
Listen, that is what this show is. This show is just bragging on all those amazing sins you wrote. So yeah,
no, not the ones I wrote, the ones we wrote.
Yes. Obviously, that's what I meant.
I guess I do want to say though that there's one where we mentioned like Yellow Jacket's helmet and Weather Top. And what was really funny is that the shadow on this one, I think, was Barrett. And he was like, I don't understand this. And the joke is that Weathertop is from Lord of the Rings. That's the joke. And so once we kind of explained it in its simplicity, then he was like, oh, okay. Like we're pulling in different references. So yeah. I did enjoy that. We put something in there that doesn't belong. And the idea that we control people about it makes me kind of happy.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sick person now.
Yeah, and it was the job that's done that.
Yeah. I wasn't this way before.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No.
Jonathan, what about you? What did you think of this episode and some of your favorite scenes?
I mean, it's probably, I guess it's my favorite of this, but I don't know what that says. But one thing, I mean, this is silly, but I really like that the title was Journey into Mystery. That was a really cool callback to the original comic that Loki and Thor were in. And Richard E. Grant is a treasure. So anytime he pops up in something, that little vampire sin came from the heart. I did watch The Little Vampire because Richard E. Grant was in it. And that's a bad movie. Don't watch it. That was Jonathan Lipnicki trying to keep his fame going. Oh. Post Jerry Maguire. I think I'm getting that right. I think that's the one I'm talking about. But anyways, so it was okay. Like I mean, it was fun, but I still at the end, I felt like it was a lot of just, Easter eggs and stuff like that. And I mean, there's definitely, the story is progressing. I'm not saying that, but I don't know. There was plenty to sin, I guess. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. I enjoyed, as far as the sins, I enjoyed sending that the TVA are dicks because they send people out here with no tread on their shoes. I thought that was
he had no tread on his shoes.
It's true.
Do you know how slippery that is? That's just dangerous for action.
We've got two different videos with sins about footwear and the problems with it.
What is happening?
I don't know.
Our worlds continue to.
The sin with, we're trying to figure out like why Owen Wilson is driving that car, and then we kind of make the comment that it could be a Cars reference maybe, and I've had to do all this research, and then the sin ends with, so the sin can be for wasting time on pointless research or having to watch a Cars reference. Fuck it, I'm giving it 2 because I'm annoyed. And that was kind of also just pointing out like all the different, like the Easter eggs and stuff you had to figure out, which Danae had a couple sins about that too. And then I just love the simplicity of the line in the show was, you have no idea how uncomfortable this is. And then the sin was, so don't wear it. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I continue to kind of take my journey into loving this show with this episode. I think all that culminates in the final episode, but here I felt my excitement about like Loki figuring out who he is, like his self-therapy, like all that stuff. It amplifies here because this episode, more than any other, has so many different versions of him that he starts to really see the commonalities, and he starts to really to define himself. Like he starts to figure out and have some self-actualization. And, Danae, you said something earlier about like, if you're into that stuff, you're probably loving this. And I was like, yep, that's me. I raised my hand. Like, that stuff is the stuff that I lock onto. And so I think this episode kind of continues to move us in that direction in some really interesting ways.
I do have a question though. So you don't mind, I mean, I think the main thing here is you don't mind Loki becoming more of a good guy.
I kind of love it. I love what it has.
See, And I have more of that Rick and Morty thing where it feels very forced and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Shortcut. It feels like it's shortcutted.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I totally get it, especially the way this plot works out, especially considering the Loki we have didn't actually experience some of the things that are changing his idea of himself. Well, you know what I mean? Like, he literally sees them in a slideshow, and that's supposed to, and I think we said this in that episode, that's supposed to have like this deep impact on him, even though he didn't live those things. Like, the Loki I know from that time, he's not going to buy that. Like, why would, first of all, he even believe it? Like, you know, he would think that he's being tricked or played. And secondly, why would he change? So, yes, it is shortcutted. I just like what it's doing, and so I kind of accept the shortcuts, right? Like, I like what it's trying to say about the character. I like what it's trying to say about being human, even though technically, you know, he's not the same version of human as we are. But anyhow, so I do enjoy that stuff. I also thought that the world building in this felt a little bigger, a little like we're starting to understand a little more of what's going on. So those revelations felt nice to me. So I did like the episode. As far as the Sins video goes, great job, guys. This is one of those fun experiences because I think, like you said, Barrett was the reviewer on this, right?
Yes, thank you.
Barrett was the reviewer on this. So this is, for me, this is one of those experiences where I get a script. I do my best to, and obviously I've seen the episode, but to interpret, what's been written. But I'm not playing like a creative part other than just doing the narration. And so, like, watching these videos is often fun for me in a different way than some of the others are. Because for the most part, up until recently adding a couple writers, the three of us have been on most of these videos as either a writer or a reviewer. So it's been an interesting experience not to always have that. But I liked the actual footage of my wife attempting to have bathroom alone time somehow makes its way into this episode. Just the flashing Danae as a mom sign going off in my brain.
Guys, yeah. But I think you changed it to me going to the bathroom because it had to make more sense. So I think in the script it was my wife, but you changed it in the video to be actual footage of me in the bathroom.
Yes. Yeah.
Which we continue to still learn like what each narrator is comfortable with narrating.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that is my fucking life, is just leave me alone so I can shit in peace. Thank you very much. She's just kind of like squatting, she's like squatting in fear. And I'm like, I get that. I feel that.
I just don't answer any questions asked of me while I'm in the bathroom.
I pretend not to exist when I'm in the bathroom.
It's hot. I remember watching like parenting memes, and obviously when parents comment a lot on something, you're going to expect it. And one of the most common things is just the kid outside the door, just desperately trying to get your attention. So I fully expected it to happen, but experiencing it is something entirely different where, I mean, thank God for smartphones, otherwise I would just be sitting there like listening to this child hammering against the door. Mom, Mama, like just go find something to do.
Mom? What happened?
Find something to do, please.
Yeah.
And then like something slides under the door. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm with you.
That's my life. That's my life.
And then I had to mention the polybius perverts play by producing psychoactive permutations purposely placed by pandering policy poo faces who push psychological programs without punishment. Always going to love some alliteration. Well done. And to end that with allegedly.
That's the difference between you and Jeremy, because Jeremy would be cursing at us on the audio track.
Could be.
I'll talk about that in my keeping tabs.
Oh, nice.
But that was the one we alluded to a while back, that when Barrett reviewed our script, the sin here was just the game itself, making the assumption that people knew what it was, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, I want more here. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it was like, you either cut it because it's not worth the more. You're just kind of like barely going for something, but I wanted, it needed to be sinned, I felt. And so that's when I went to town on that one and came back and I'm like, yeah, thank you for asking for more, because then this happened.
Yeah, it's nice to get pushed.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that was that sin. I now remember all this happening. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
It's been a minute.
One more Loki to go with the first season, which I think they have.
Maybe. We're not supposed to give away future videos, Aaron.
Well,
God, Aaron,
too bad. Too bad. We're doing the finale. Let's move on to music video sins. Justin Bieber. The song is called Stay. Barrett writing this one. Did Barrett have anything to say this week?
You say.
No, that's Say, not Stay. This is Stay.
That song is called Stay, though.
You do only hear what you want to, because I just said.
But the Lisa Loeb song is called Stay, right?
So
it may be. Yeah, it might be. I'm not the one to
and
ask.
I thought what I felt was simple. Sorry. Yes, that song is called Stay, and you say Stay is where that song. Anyways, Barrett very quickly says the kid Loro. Is that how it's?
I honestly don't know.
The kid Laura Oi seems like a Bieber Jr., so it makes sense that he was featured on this track. I don't hate it, but I hate it. That's all he has to say.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
I thought this one was visually interesting.
I did
right?
too.
Like,
I thought the video was interesting, yeah.
Visually, I look at this and I think, somebody put some money in this video. There is something very cool about playing with like a stop motion, or when they put the cameras all around a room and they do like a Matrix thing. I just think that stuff looks really cool. So visually, I thought this was very interesting. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. What about some of the sins? What were some of the sins you liked?
I enjoyed the song lyric is, I get drunk, I wake up, I'm wasted still. And the sin is, you may think that he's drinking too much, but I'm honestly guessing that he's just sleeping too little. I don't know why that one made me laugh quite a lot. Yeah. And then the sin about how like it's Justin Bieber standing on this roof and he's kind of like jumping up and down singing, or like stomp singing, like kind of stomping back and forth singing. And the sin is about like getting the sense that Bieber warms up like this before shows. And he just parks himself on the corner of some rando roof and sings at the city top of his lungs until someone opens a window and tells him to shut the fuck up. I thought that was really funny as well. And yeah. There's one about the Cassia keyboard. Like they play a little bit, and it's like getting one at a flea market in Nebraska for a few bucks. And there was somebody in the comment section. Rebecca says, as a matter of fact, the intro to the song was created on a Roland Juno 60 synthesizer from '82 by a talented man by the name of Charlie Puth or Puth. I'm not sure how to say it.
Puth. Charlie Puth.
I think it's Puth.
Yeah, he is talented. He's very talented. Lyrically, this song seems to be about the idea of, I know I'm terrible. I know I keep messing up, but please be patient with me. Please stick around. Please, don't leave me. Like, so there's this idea of self-defeat and need for redemption while knowing that we're weak. And there's some deep stuff in there. I don't know that the song really goes to the level of exploring it in a super meaningful way, but there's a human emotion there that I think is easy to identify with. The idea of like, don't leave, I know I screwed up, please stay, kind of thing. So yeah, that was, as far as the song goes, that's what I pulled from it. It's not terrible to listen to. I actually like Justin Bieber's sound. So I've enjoyed his stuff before. As far as the sins go, the Farm Fresh 100% pure sin was probably my favorite. Learning to doubt the advertising when it goes a little too far. Anytime milk says it's super fresh, it always tastes like Justin Bieber's armpit. I thought that was clever and funny. And then the final sin where the narrator is like, I got to get to this meeting. I'm running a youth group at the church down the street. Yeah, I'm totally super religious now. Found Jesus and stuff. Okay, bye. I just thought all that was delivered really well and really funny. What about you, Jonathan?
I didn't really like the song. I have liked Bieber in the past, much like you said, but I don't know that I've this is better than the Peaches song or whatever that we covered a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It had a little bit better, rhythm to it and everything. So, I don't know. It was okay, but it wasn't, I didn't really care for it. As far as the sins, a couple I wrote down, where I guess he's kind of like somewhat passed out or whatever. And he's just like, hey man, you want to maybe wake up for your own fucking music video? Fucking lazy ass Gen Zers. And then there was like a lyric, something about like, please don't go or whatever. And he's like in that weird like exorcist position, like on the bed where he's like, crouched up. And then the sin was, dude, she's already gone. If you weren't all cocked up on the bed in this weird position, maybe you'd have realized that she wasn't there and could have started singing this shitty song several hours earlier. So I thought that was really
All right, let's move into CinemaSins. We sinned The Hangover II. This was an Atkinson share script. Chris and Barrett writing on this one. What did they have to say about putting this one together?
Chris says he has one of the patented Chris responses, which I love. So he says, Hangover 2 is a cash grab sequel that repeats every single beat of the first movie. Why do drugs that typically calm people down, incapacitate them, or put them to sleep make these guys go fucking crazy? Who knows? Ultimately, this movie just is not funny. I'm going to go deep into a sin that in the end might not even be a sin, and it's hard to describe without being a little confusing. The main characters of this movie are looking for Stu's fiance's brother, Teddy. When they are stuck and have no idea where to go next, they find a message written on Alan's stomach. It tells them to meet someone at a restaurant at such and such time, so they go. They aren't the people intended to go to this meeting. It's their buddy, Mr. Chow, who was supposed to go, and he's supposed to transfer money to an arms dealer. The only reason we know Mr. Chow is supposed to be at this meeting is because at the end of the credits, where we see the pictures of everything that happened during the wild night, Chow is on his phone and writes the time and place of the meeting on Alan's tummy at the strip club because that's what you do. The main characters meet with Paul Giamatti inside the restaurant, and Giamatti plays an undercover Interpol agent who pretends to be the arms dealer. In this scene, we don't know he's with Interpol yet. He claims to have Teddy, and he threatens his life if they don't deliver Mr. Chow to them. And then we find out later he didn't even have Teddy, that he was using the information that he was missing to get Mr. Chow. They promise to deliver Mr. Chow the next day to the same restaurant, only it's in an outside dining area this time. Once Chow transfers the money, Giamatti reveals himself to be an agent. A Bangkok PH helicopter shows up and they arrest him. Giamatti then admits he doesn't have Teddy, and the movie puts itself in a dead end once more until Stu has his Dr. House moment. I thought about these two scenes way more than I should have. The first sin I thought of was way too argumentative. I won't get into that here, but I knew something was wrong between these two scenes. If Paul Giamatti was supposed to meet with Mr. Chow inside the restaurant in the first meeting, why wasn't that meeting also outside? Because of the whole helicopter stuff, where he could set up the arrest involving a helicopter. Why aren't there any laptops set up in the first meeting inside the restaurant? There are many visible laptops in the second meeting, but not in the first one. Also, if Chow is supposed to wire money to this bank account, why does he even have to meet with anyone? The movie shows clearly that Chow has all the information necessary to make a transfer anywhere he has internet access. It's the kind of sin where you might be able to explain everything, but the movie clearly set up the first meeting knowing Mr. Chow wouldn't be there. No one in the movie world knows that, but the people making the movie know that. And this is a lot of writing about something that isn't a big deal, but trying to explain something like this in as few words as possible. Is it worth it? Maybe not, but it's also a fun exercise, at least for me, to consider that two scenes like this and think of it in terms of what do these characters know and what do people making the movie know, and seeing if there's a contradiction there. I may not have succeeded, but I know what I mean and I'm content with it. Anyway, that's what the sin writing process is like sometimes.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had wow. I've had that happen too, where you're trying to figure out how do I succinctly say this thing. And it is tricky. I thought he did a good job in the script itself because, I mean, obviously, trying to get across all that information, like I said, like all boiled down together can be tricky. But having not seen this movie, I understood what was happening. And that's the trick to writing a sin like this, is you have to explain it just enough where people who haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while remember the important details while also explaining the contradiction itself. And Chris does a really good job of those kind of analytical sins. He's incredible at it.
What about Barrett?
Barrett said something really short and simple. He said The Hangover 2 is more debauchery for the sake of debaucherifications. Sorry, Barrett. It can go and blow. It can go and do blow with that dealer monkey for all I care. I didn't like the first one, but this one was truly offensive.
Well, there you go. Laying it down. Neither of them
did not enjoy
liking this movie at all. I guess I will start and just say I agree. There's nothing about this movie that I enjoy. I have seen it, and It's one thing when you kind of make a carbon copy of a movie that you think is really funny and, clever and good. It's another thing when you make a carbon copy of a movie that probably succeeded mostly on compelling acting choices as opposed to what the plot was and the type of humor. And that was kind of my experience. I didn't love The Hangover, but I was compelled by some of the characters in the way they were used. And I think this one just gets wrong so much about what actually worked about The Hangover and tries to emphasize things too much. There's a sin about just how the movie relies on the Alan character more in Hangover 2, and I thought it was so good. It's that common thing where you take a character that's meant to be in small doses and make them kind of large doses of the movie, and it just, I think it really messes with this movie's chance to be good at all. Some of the sins I liked, Alan is still invited to the wedding. I found that simple and beautiful, and the idea that why would you invite Alan to the wedding after what happened last time? Now that you've made me personally self-own myself, here's a sin. I just, love the fact that the narrator went the extra step of, after he had done some self-deprecation humor, saying, giving a sin for making him do it. And then the line at the end, I just want this hangover to go away, I thought was really, really fun as well. Danae, what are some of your thoughts?
I enjoyed the scene does not contain a lap dance from IHOP waitress because we have essentially kind of semi-retired or just retired the lap dance sin in general. But the fact that the lead-in says get some chocolate chip pancakes and a lap dance from the waitress, like it's one of those where it's like, oh, the movie can do this for us in a way. So I think that was good.
Yeah.
Of the sin where they're talking to their wives and the sin is just Phil and Doug think their wives are stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then towards the end, I wish the lead-in was, I wish I was a boring dentist who had boring life and boring friends. And the sin is you've had 2 incidents because you unknowingly took drugs. Slow your roll.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very confused watching this. Like,
Jonathan,
I did see the first one though, so I guess I didn't miss anything.
Yeah. Jonathan, what about you?
I haven't seen this movie. This Sins video didn't make me want to watch this movie. So I probably will never watch this movie. I've never seen any of the Hangover sequels. I think comedy sequels, I even posed this question on Slack last night because I was having a really hard time even thinking of a good comedy sequel. I did come up with, there are a couple of Pink Panther movies I think are really funny, and then Naked Gun 2.5 I think is hysterical. Yeah. So I'm sure there's more. But I do think comedy sequels are really hard to do. I think more of them turn out like this or like Anchorman 2. And I think a lot of it's just because, like you said, you're just repeating the same stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it obviously works because this movie made almost $600 million worldwide.
Yeah.
It outgrossed the first one. But then it was also one of those cases where clearly people didn't like it that much because Hangover 3 didn't do anywhere near that kind of business. But and then the series was buried. Although I wouldn't be shocked if it comes back in like 10 years or something. But anyways, so yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't really talk on the movie itself. But I love the video. I enjoyed the observation on the plane of, oh sweet, they bought tickets on this plane so they could sit one row back and one seat to the right of each other. Like, who gets plane tickets that doesn't sit, together? That's dentist. I just enjoyed that turn of phrase. Obviously, we've already talked about this, but there's a lot of sitting in here about how everything is just the same. And I thought all those were great.
Yeah.
And then I also liked pointing out that, Stu's ridiculous assumption that everyone speaks English. The sin is, I know Stu's been spoiled with Thailand, what with every single person understanding English, but does he not know he's in another country right now? I thought was a really good observation.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You bring up the topic, so I quickly kind of Googled what other people have said about comedy sequels that are actually funny, and some of the main ones that you might agree with, Christmas Vacation is technically a comedy sequel.
I don't like Christmas Vacation.
Oh, you don't like Christmas Vacation?
No, I don't like any of the vacation sequels. If I had to pick a vacation sequel, it would be European. I find more funny in that, but I still don't really think it's that funny.
In the parody camp, Hot Shots Part 2.
That's a good one.
Is a good one.
I do agree with that one.
And then the only other one that I kind of agreed with was 22 Jump Street. Is really, really funny. So
there's There's really funny. I did like the 22 Jump Street definitely goes for different things, and I appreciate that about it. I just didn't find it that funny, but there are moments in it that are great. One of my favorite moments in either one of those movies is when Channing Tatum figures out that Jonah Hill is sleeping with Ice Cube's daughter, and just his reaction to all that is hysterical. Yeah. I love that we discovered that Channing Tatum's actually very good in comedies.
Yeah.
through those movies.
No, I agree.
No, the Christmas Vacation probably counts because so many people like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's fair.
Wayne's World 2. Wayne's World 2 is loved by a lot. Let's move into Pretty Woman. This was a Danae Ian script. Hughes Whittington.
Look at Danae just writing everything.
And Danae, as per the theme of the show, has written on this one as well. Let's start with Ian's thoughts on Pretty Woman.
He says, I kind of feel guilty for saying this, but I enjoyed this movie. I've only ever seen it once, and that was 20 years ago with my mom, so I remembered nothing. Yes, there is so much wrong with it. Richard Gere's character is not a worthy male role model at all. He's a patronizing, condescending, arrogant, stuck-up, egotistical jerk-whizzle. Therefore, I think I like this movie because of Julia Roberts. Damn it, I don't know. Maybe this just caught me on a good day. Shh, Danae, let me have this. I'm going to jump to an outtake that may never be seen. It's I'm not sure if the outtakes are public or not. Are they?
I don't know.
I think we're making them public eventually. Yeah.
So when Julia Roberts' character is at the Opera House, she gets very emotional. So I switched what she was looking at with the famous Bugs Bunny skit where Bugs is conducting and nearly kills an opera singer. Okay, good. So cutting back and forth from Bugs to Roberts as she gets more and more emotional just cracks me up. It's one of my favorite outtakes.
Nice.
It was amazing. I wrote that down.
Isn't that funny? It was really funny.
Yeah.
Jeremy's delivery of unrealistic relationship absolutely floored me. The way that came out was hilarious, and I loved it. That man, and I have to shout out for the Breakfast series of sins. For some reason, Breakfast seems to be a trigger for myself and Danae because of our sins for this. We were almost identical. That's true. We actually almost wrote the identical sins. How the F is that everything on the menu in this fancy-ass restaurant was my mystery slice of damn toast, and you call that a garnish? Of course, I really enjoyed writing bizarrely blasé blaze of Baroque baked flamboyancy. I like words.
Yeah. That was good stuff. That was some of my favorite stuff too. Danae, what about you?
I don't remember when I watched this movie. I don't remember if I've watched this movie, at least to watch it. It's another one of those where you see pieces of it. Maybe it was on TV growing up or something,
or like a montage of movies from a year. I mean, that's where I feel like I've seen a lot of it.
I mean, if you haven't seen him snapping that thing closed on her finger, like
where have you been?
You haven't lived on Earth. Like it's
kind of like if you've never heard the song "Inside Out" by Eve Six. Like where have you been?
Yeah, exact same level of cultural infiltration. Yes,
it was really interesting because this is such a big movie moment. It's a Julia Roberts basically breakout performance. And the research on it was interesting that, originally this movie was supposed to be very different. It was supposed to be called 3000, and it was going to be more of a serious approach to sex work and the dangers of it. But then it turned more into like a romantic comedy. I learned things like that Julia Roberts essentially was the reason that Richard Gere said yes, because she slipped him a note and said, please, I really want to do this with you. So she kind of like, she just asked him.
Can I ask you a question? If I remember correctly, she was not the first pick, right? Didn't a bunch of people turn this down?
Yeah, and I wonder if that was when it was more serious. I'm not sure, but she wasn't being considered for it initially because she had only done one thing previous, and so
she was. I mean, Mystic Pizza.
Yes,
I mean, she did a couple and I think she was in that movie Satisfaction, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, no, she hadn't done much.
So the director saw a vid. What I don't know if it was an audition tape or reading or something, and
screen
then
test.
Was like, screen test maybe, and was like, okay, let's do it. And then of course, because this became so big, then there's stories that come out, like for example, the scene where the necklace snaps closed. That was not something that was planned. So Richard Gere was trying to wake Julia Roberts up because she was kind of tired that day, and he just did that to her. And so the laugh was her laugh. It was very genuine, and then the director kept it in. Things like the iconic red dress wasn't supposed to be red, and the person that the wardrobe, the person that was in charge of like the costuming, is created like multiple dresses in different shades of red to prove that it needed to be red. And then finally they kind of settled on that one, and they all agreed, because I think it was supposed to be black, and she's like, no, this needs to be red. So she fought for the red dress. And that stuff fascinates me, because it's movies like this that have been around for a long time that get that kind of attention, and you watch them and you think, what is it about this movie that's so important? There's a lot wrong with this movie in its themes, but it's actually a perfect example of a lot of themes of women being rescued, money being important. That those themes there are very predominant. A woman fitting a specific role to be accepted. I wasn't surprised to see those themes at all. But I think the reason that I like this movie is because of watching Julia Roberts and Richard Gere perform. I think they were, I think she was clearly she's able to like do something uncomfortable in a really comfortable way and be this flamboyant character in this really interesting, way. And it makes you want to watch more. And then of course the seduction and the sexuality of it, it's an interesting perspective. So, and I think people like the quote unquote rags to riches stories and things like that too. So there's a lot of reasons to watch this. I think like the sad thing for me is in real life, thinking about someone like Richard's character, this Edward character, who has multiple failed relationships, is teased throughout the movie for being somebody who has a new woman all the time. To think that because Julia is beautiful and naive a little bit, and moldable, that this is a good love story. So at the end of it, I'm like, this isn't a love story that I'm here for. It requires you to fill in a lot of holes to make it like make sense for yourself that this is a healthy relationship, but there's so many signs it's just not. But the movie magic of it is undeniable. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
I think that's well put.
Oh, thank you. That was off the top of my head. Casual banana spying is casual. I enjoyed writing that one. I think because it cracked Barrett up, and I always like it when I get like comments that's just someone that's just like ha 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 ha, and you're like I made my boss laugh. That's really funny. The sin where it's just Edward jiggling the card room key card in repeatedly, and the sin is just like, well, looks like Vivian's in for a rough night. That one killed me. The lamp one, obviously.
Yes.
I had that written down.
Of course.
Just the idea of it just being a silent walkthrough. And there could have even been
more
more arrows.
Lamps, man. My God.
Yeah. Ian wrote one that was sending the actual lamps and like it had, words to it or whatever. But I'm just like, there's so many in a space. What are we going to do here?
I miss that now. I mean, I'm not saying there was always that many lamps, but like you go into a hotel room now, there's like no lights because everybody's energy conscious. They're trying to save money and all that stuff. Yep. So there's rarely overhead lights. It's all lamps, and it's just like, God, I want to be able to see. Sorry, that's a rant.
No, I think his sin was you walk in and you turn the light on to get one lamp on, but this house is already completely lit by like a million lamps.
Hey, we didn't give a shit about energy in 1990. We didn't care.
Yeah.
We were like, leave all the lights on. Who gives a shit?
The employee sins in this one were fun. Just this arrangement that after purchasing sex for one evening, that he's like going to, hire her as an employee for a week, essentially.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed playing around with the different angles of poking fun of that employee relationship. So, calling her a toy ployee, or one of my favorites is show us the W-2.
Yep. I had that one written down too.
Just like, this isn't how it works. He mentioned the food ones, but then like getting to also send the food plate, the pate food plate was just a delight. One of the things though that I really wanted to sin in this one that I was a little nervous about, but I couldn't let it go after watching the movie a few times, was this idea that Stucky character so Edward's lawyer, who is the sleazeball who like hits on Vivian and literally hits on her sexually.
Jason Alexander character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The movie presents this ideal that Edward himself is the savior guy, but he is literally, after a year of planning this business takeover, over the course of just a few days, has been completely just, taken by Julia Roberts' character. And the movie wants us to hate Stuckey for asking the question, what is going on with you, Edward? Why are you doing all of these things? When in actuality, that's a really valid question. And it's so interesting how a movie can just dictate the emotion of how we're feeling. But if we kind of pull ourselves out of it and say, okay, so yeah, the movie wants us to think that Edward is this hero and that we're rooting for him and he's the good guy. But Stuckey, though an absolute asshat, an absolute asshole who physically hits a woman and tries to have sex with her when she doesn't want to, tries to rape her, like he did have a valid point here. So it was tricky because I wanted to bring it up, but also not, try to insinuate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big kind of like, oh, this is a problem. The other big problem I had with this was the opera scene where, Edward's like, if you're going to have a reaction to opera, it means you have a soul if you're emotional. And then he just sits there like a robot. And we're supposed to focus on the fact that, oh, thank God this hooker has a soul. That means this man can fall in love with her. So there was just a really interesting kind of some subtext there. The last one I'll say is one of my favorites, which was the when the third act conflict, but the way that Ian wrote, like, on the breakfast menu this morning we have strawberries, croissants, but may I also be so bold as to recommend the third act conflict cliche. I just thought that was a really clever way of bringing up the fact that once again there is a forced conflict in a movie so that we can have resolution by the end.
Yeah. Yep. I'll go next. This is a spectacular script. I loved this video so much. And I think the reason is not just because it was hilarious, which it was, but because you're doing some really intricate mind walking with some of this stuff, because there has to be a way to recognize, like you said, the movie star stuff that's going on here with Julia Roberts, the humor, the fun, the like how compelling this movie is, and at the same time go, but kind of icky, right? Like that's kind of like, yeah, like there's some real like high wire balance stuff almost that you're having to do in some of these sins, and I just think you guys pulled it off really, really well.
Thank you.
The movie is that. The movie is that high wire balance of, yeah, I get it. Nothing has radiated a screen like Julia Roberts' smile maybe in the history of cinema, like in this movie. Like, it's just some of the things she's doing here are charisma defined, and there is a reason she is the superstar that she has been in her career.
And she went, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is
you're good.
Perfect. But she went from nobody really knew who she was,
right,
or they like, oh, Mystic Pizza. But see, Mystic Pizza, even that was an Annabeth Gish movie. Like, right, Julia Roberts is a supporting character in that movie. But she went from that to, after this movie, she is given the chance at like every leading lady role. Like, she immediately becomes the box office queen, basically. You think like 2 years after that, The Player is making fun of Hollywood movie making by having this ridiculous movie that stars Bruce Willis and Julia Roberts. So that's how big she had become in just 2 years.
Yeah,
I can't think of anyone that's shot up like that.
Yeah, it is the definition of meteoric rise. It's really crazy. So
and stayed there for a long time.
Sure, deservedly so. She's incredible.
Yeah. She's great.
So it is one of those things where like I kind of love a lot of this movie, but I kind of feel gross for loving it in a lot of ways, because the not just you say the politics that is reductive in a lot of ways, but just the things it has to say about relationships and gender roles and sexuality and just a lot of stuff, again, like I said, that you guys navigate really, really well, but those really defined my feelings on the movie. And so that's also probably why I love this script so much, is it reflects so much of my own perspective on this movie.
Cool. It was intimidating because this is it's Ian and I, This isn't one where someone from the A-team, wrote on it. It's like, and it's a huge movie.
Yeah.
So like pressure was on.
Yeah. Well, great job.
I felt that one.
If nothing else here, great job, because I think this is a really great script.
Thanks.
You felt that more than Julia Roberts felt Richard Gere after that, after the inserting the card incident.
Yes, exactly. Here's some sins I will mention right off the bat. This logo or this company should be called Lightning Circle, and we all know it.
That was great.
It's so great. The Blue Banana bar in the, why would you name your establishment Blue Banana? I thought that was really great. The now my hip socket hurts, as if the narrator is trying to do the move. I thought that was great. You mentioned all the breakfast stuff. I had to pull out the line, fuzzy fruit does not impress us, about the kiwi, as if the kiwi was what made it fancy. Just really great stuff there. The sin about bathing together and just how annoying that would be in real life, as romantic as it looks in movies, and the way it was phrased and worded, and man, just really great stuff. The observation about, I forget what the character says, but it's something about you never hurt me again, and he agrees or whatever. And it's like, yeah, because that's a healthy relationship that is in denial about how hurt is, always going to be something we do to each other because we're human. And I just loved that. I just thought that was a great observation. And then the finish of shut up and stop being so dead inside. I most certainly will not. It's just really fun, really clever. So yeah, I had a great time with this. What about you, Jonathan?
It was a great video. Real quick, though, I did look up real quick about the people that were offered the role. As far as the Julia Roberts character, it wasn't a long list. The only thing I could find was that Molly Ringwald turned it down. People think that was when it was the 3000 script. So she might have thought it was a little too dark. But good God. I mean, you never know what the movie would have been with Ringwald, but it's interesting. I mean, she regrets. I have a feeling she probably regrets it in some ways.
At that time, though, if it was a 3000, it was going to be a darker kind of drug addiction and just kind of getting into that cycle and stuff. So.
No, and I totally get that. It's just, just to think where her career went in the 90s, which was a downward trajectory. Yeah. Maybe this would have sent her back up, but then we wouldn't get Julia Roberts. I don't know. But the Richard Gere was not the first choice, or he wasn't the first one to accept. The people that were offered it is really weird.
Isn't it weird? Yeah, it's so weird. It was such a weird thing, to think about that role being
Albert Brooks,
Sylvester Stallone.
That would have been terrible.
Stallone's better than Stallone. Doesn't get enough credit as an actor, but
I agree.
I don't think that works.
I just watched First Blood again the other day. He's incredible in that.
Daniel Day-Lewis. That would have been a little too artsy. Wow. Yeah, Kevin Kline. Maybe that would have worked. Denzel.
Yes.
John Travolta and Christopher Reeve.
The one of those you mentioned I most want to see is Albert Brooks. I love him so much. I would be so curious to see how he would have done that role. That would be really interesting.
So I haven't seen this movie all the way through. I know that. I've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but I was 14 when this came out. I was probably, if I was watching something more female-centric when I was 14, it was because I was watching it with my mom. My mom would not have watched this movie with me, obviously, when I was 14 or ever, probably.
Yeah.
But so I didn't see it. I remember it, though. I can remember everybody talking about it, and I can remember now we have Julia Roberts as this huge star, because I did go see stuff with her after this, like Sleeping with the Enemy and Pelican Brief and stuff like that. But I've never seen it, and so I can't really completely comment on it. But based on what you guys are saying, I feel like there's probably there was a super dark script, and then we get this where Disney took it over, and it's like Disney trying to, even though it's rated R, but it still feels like they're trying to make this like a Cinderella story. I mean, they obviously are, and I don't know if I feel like there's a middle ground there that makes this like a better movie, just from what I've heard both of you say. But who knows? I love Richard Gere, so and I love Julia Roberts, so the cast, and I think what's the comedian's name that's, and not Jason Alexander, but the one that's helping them at the dress shop later.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about
Larry Charles or something like that. Maybe I've always heard he kind of steals the movie. in those scenes, but I don't know. But anyways, I love the video. I love the simple sin of this much olive toned satin. I thought was a great observation. I'm liking all of Danae's clothing and shoe wear observation this week. Gyrating this close to fresh paint, that is not safe. That is not a good idea. So I thought that was good. You already mentioned the lamps, and going back to the breakfast, I just love the why put garnish on the croissant plate. Like who is set decorating that bit? You know, that with that big of a movie and that much money being put into it, who wasn't like, hey, put the garnish over by the eggs or something?
Yeah. No,
that made no sense. I love the movie line was, "You are my employee," and the sin is, "Show us the W-2."
Yeah, so good.
And the discount Stan Lee cameo was hilarious. Just the idea that, I know this is Disney, but why are they putting him in this? I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
So I really, really, really like Aaron. I really enjoyed the video.
It's good stuff. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're just going to talk about a little bit of putting the stuff together from the week. Actually, we'll just hand this over to Danae since it was her week.
Yeah, I've got a lot. Let's go. So in Loki, there's this game called, I think it's Polybius or Polybius. I'm not sure. This is an urban legend. It's a fictitious arcade game that was apparently in 1981. So the legend is that there's a game that was part of a government-funded psychology experiment. And it was based in Portland, and that the gameplay essentially created, let me just read this, supposedly produced intense, psychoactive, and addictive effects in the player. There was publicly staged arcade machines were said to have been visited periodically by men in black for the purposes of data mining the machines and analyzing the effects of these psychological patterns in those who played them. And it is an urban legend. However,
Portland starts with P as well. You should have put Portland in there somewhere.
Oh, thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Wow. That was kind of dickish. Go ahead.
I mean, I really should have. Fuck. I guess we're going to go back through.
Episode's over.
We're going to go back through and we're going to take out a few sins.
Right. Yeah.
From the videos, so including, and I also want to say, including the World Trade Center sins. Just to kind of quickly go back on that, apparently those were not the World Trade Center. That was a different building altogether, and we all missed it. So
there you go.
It's one of those where, like, that's going to be in that video forever, and I so badly just want to go and take it out and re-upload it.
Yeah.
But I can't. So that's where the Polybius thing came from, and it was just interesting because, of course, they put that into the background of this as a wink and nod to that video game. I also did, where's my notes? I also found out that the first president that was recorded to issue a pardon on a turkey was Ronald Reagan, just so you know.
Nice.
There's also, listen to this. The first president on record to issue a pardon on his turkey was 1982. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the tradition started in 1863 with Abraham Lincoln. And then the first lady accepted, like, there's all these different and then the first national turkey presentation was in 1947. So I was looking up all these different things to try to figure out, because during the show, there's like these various dates that'll appear, like in the Turkey area and stuff, for Rick and Morty. And I was wondering what those dates referenced. And so there's so many dates that it could reference. So I really decided not to send it ultimately, because there's just a lot of information about, well, are we talking about pardons because that started this year? Or is it tradition because that started this year? So I think there are just some interpretations about that.
And this is one of those things where I guess I think I had heard about this before, but I guess I didn't remember that they pardon turkeys, because I'm not.
They have a pardon. Yeah. Other words besides Portland that I could have used were pandering, perverts, prevents,
Patricia.
prepubescent was one. Political power, policy. Like there's a lot that I could have.
Patty cakes.
That I was just writing down all these P words and trying to figure out how to mash it all together. So, but yeah, that's about it.
Jonathan, what do you have in your keeping tabs this week?
Kind of going along with what she was talking about Loki. I knew there was a bunch of Easter eggs, which we sent some, and I was looking those up while I was writing. We mentioned, the Frog Thor cameo was one we mentioned. I think it's like, what is it, Throg or something?
Yes.
And then Danae also pointed out Yellow Jacket's helmet. And of course the Lord of the Rings stuff that was obvious, was clearly in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the other stuff, the shot of the tower, which a lot of people thought was Avengers Tower, but if you look at it closely, it says Quang Tower, which is, there's like an alternate timeline in the Marvel universe that they kind of went down a road, and this company Quang bought out the Avengers. So that was kind of interesting.
So much. I did the same thing. I just looked at all the Easter eggs, and there's just so much.
Yeah. And there's a headless statue of Kang too, right there. Mm-hmm. They were doing everything they could to be like, yes, this is Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Eliath is a villain that ties in with Kang. There was a helicopter. It was the Thanos copter, because there was this there was this weird storyline in a Spider-Man comic where Spider-Man fought Thanos and he had a helicopter. I don't know, it was weird. There's a shield helicarrier. The Loki that we kind of send for looking just like the other Loki, that incarnation of him came from a storyline in the comics where Loki was trying to take over the White House. The storyline is called Vote Loki. So I thought that was interesting. The license plate on the pizza car was GRN-W1D, which is paying tribute to Mark Gruenwald, a Marvel contributor. And then going to Urban Legends, they had the USS Eldridge in there, which is, if anybody's heard about the Philadelphia experiment, there's a pretty fun movie about it, but it's an urban legend that this ship went to another dimension and the entire crew was killed by aliens. And then the only other thing I had was there was a theater sign that said Oswald and the Martians. And for those that know, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit could have very well been Disney's Mickey Mouse. But Walt, I can't remember. It's something about he sold, like he had to sell the rights for something and then he couldn't get them back. And so he had to create somebody new. So he created Mickey Mouse, which is probably for the better in the grand scheme of things. But
Probably.
But who knows? I mean, we would know the difference, and maybe we would just all be talking about Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And
oh, Oswald.
And his female rabbit friend, Minnie. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought all that was fun.
I did not write on anything this week. I took the week off, didn't do any work, and didn't write on a single thing. I did, however, want to do possibly the most annoying and pointless keeping tabs in the history of the podcast.
Was this based on a Slack discussion?
No. This is just based on I had nothing, and then I experienced this thing, and I was like, this thing I just experienced is terrible. I wonder if everybody else would like to experience this same thing. So this is what I'm going to share with you now is an audio keeping tabs.
Aaron Googled duty.
No. This is an audio keeping tabs of what it sounds like every week when I open up all the video files consecutively.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I am so here for this.
So this is what that sounds like. Each week when I get the email of what the videos are, I open them all up, and here's what that.
I don't even understand. What are you talking about? You open them up all up at the same time. You mean you give all separate tabs? You don't just do them one by one?
Correct. So I open up everything so that I can do my show prep, and here's what.
And they all start playing.
Here's what that sounds like.
That's kind of beautiful. That's kind of cool. I like all the narrator voices together.
Look at all the dings.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
There you go.
That's amazing. That kind of reminds me of like a Marvel opening where you have all the characters saying different things. Like I want that kind of to be like the CinemaSins opening now.
Yes, let's redo it.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I'm not kidding. You should play that for the guys and just I'm just saying there's some version of that that would,
amazing.
I think would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, you know what? Hey, you loved it. I thought it'd be the most annoying thing ever.
No,
and you
I know.
guys
Well,
dig
it
so.
sounds like, you're about to come into our universe.
Yeah.
And here's all the sounds. I think that's, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
I did too.
I heard that
Aaron was hoping he would piss us off, and we're all excited
man,
now.
I was trying to troll you, and you ended up loving
plans.
it. Oh, man. All right, let's move into the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're going to take a look at comments from the week's videos, or actually any comments that you've made for us on the internets this week. I can kick us off on this one. This was from the Loki video, Lizard Luminosity. Said, missed an opportunity to say you were eating the special Loki Charms version of Lucky Charms, the one that came out a while ago to advertise the Loki series. That is an amazing cereal name, and it's so cool that they did that. And I just thought that was really fun.
Nice.
What about you, Danae?
This one comes from Pretty Woman from Aaron James, who says, how did he not mention that continuity error when she's eating breakfast? It's one of the only actual CinemaSins in the movie. One moment she's eating a croissant, and the next shot she's almost halfway through a pancake. I actually did see this, and I thought about sending it, but I did what the people in the comments did, which is maybe she put the croissant down when she asked, how far did you go in school? And she picked up the pancake. Well, it's only about a second, replies someone. So she probably didn't have the time to eat that much pancake, or she would have had to stuff the whole thing in her mouth, in which case we wouldn't have seen much pancake at all. Did anyone actually think that there were 4 slices of toast? I mean, maybe it was underneath one. Someone says, plus, who eats a pancake like that anyway? I don't see a problem, says this person. She ate some pancake off screen, picked up the croissant, asked the question, put it on the croissant, and when she went back to the pancake, it's perfectly plausible with so many other options, supposedly, she could have gone from one thing to another if she wanted to. This is what it's like to sin. This is exactly what it's like to try to justify when you stop the momentum or when you continue the momentum of a script.
Yeah.
If it's something where it's like you really think that you should nitpick the shit out of a pancake, then you got to make it a good one, right? And so I did think about it, but ultimately decided that she probably just stopped picking, because she was picking at the croissant. She wasn't eating it. She was like picking out the middle of the croissant, the stuff, and she was eating it. And then the next time looks over, she's holding a pancake and she's just stuffing it in her mouth. I fully believe that she would do something like that. I fully believe that the character itself has already been shown to be defined as this person who spits gum out and like just it has no quote unquote manners. So I ultimately decided not to send it, but I love that there's this back and forth like commenting on this pancake scene. It brought me so much joy. And so that's my favorite one from the week.
Sometimes I think too, like if we don't have an interesting way to go at it, that's another reason sometimes we don't mess with stuff, because we don't want it to just be like technical, right? We don't want it to just be
that's the thing. That's what's so
we don't want to just be IMDb goofs. Like that's just not what we're doing. So
well, I remember one of the first scripts I wrote on, I said something, in the sin, there was a like continuity error where somebody's arm was around somebody and then it cut directly to their arm not being around them. And I wanted to make a joke about like their relationship or something I thought was funny. And so I used that as a launching point. And I started it by saying, we don't usually send, minor continuity errors or something like that, because we don't, because they're not interesting or funny usually.
If you can do it in an interesting way.
Right,
like if you can say, how did they teleport from one side of the room to the other? If there's a way to build it into the story, then yeah. But if it's just like, if it's like, oh, the cigarette's long and now it's short and now it's long.
Yeah, no one wants to watch a video of stuff like that. That would, we would never have made it.
So I bring that up to say, when I did that, there were comments saying, what do you mean we don't usually do this? This is what your channel's about. And I'm like, this was my awakening to people self-define you. Like and even in this comment that you read, the person saying the only real CinemaSin in the movie or whatever, it's like,
which is so not true.
But it's just interesting that there's that perception of what we do. Again, a lot of it's our own fault, because of that is the air we like to give off, is that that we nitpick everything that's actually wrong. But just
like we don't send boom mics. I mean, there's just
unless it can be funny or interesting,
unless it can be funny,
or,
absolutely.
So
although that's a bad example, because that has more to do with sometimes, like back in the day at least, that had more to do with how the movie was being projected.
The last time I sinned, I think equipment or personnel being in. Well, we did the one with Star Wars where they had.
But that was hilarious, and then they took it out. Like our video is the only one that has it in it now.
But the last time I did that was Firefly. There's somebody coming out of one of the ships, and one of the guys, he fully in the shot, just helping them and like trying to catch them. I was like, I have to sin that. That's hilarious. But anyhow, I always find that stuff interesting. Jonathan, what's your comment?
Mine's actually after last week's episode, a conversation, a little mini rant I had. I got a DM from our buddy Stephen Hollingshead, who has been a patron for as long as I can remember. And I did ask him if I could mention this, if I could read this, and he said absolutely. So the DM came to me. This, like I said, this is based on stuff from last week. I also chastised Ian when I heard him refer to Call Meany as Miles O'Brien from TNG and not that brave man, loyal husband, and loving friend from Deep Space Nine. So I am not alone.
That was amazing.
And I'm guessing Ian has not heard last week's episode, or he's just not talking to me. I don't know which happened, but
yeah, could be either.
Either one is totally fair.
Yes, our history is full of examples of us saying things to each other and then that person not listening to said episodes. Maybe we should quit communicating with each other.
Or we say something about Chris thinking he's not listening to the show, and then he's like, by the way, I listened this week.
Yeah. It's quite possible we should stop trying to communicate with each other through the podcast audio. All right, let's move into Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond!
Somewhere beyond my wildest dream.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're each going to chat about something else from the pop culture world that we've seen recently. Today, why don't you start?
That's a weird, he's really thinking about this.
I have anger that I need to express about something I watched, and it's but I was like, nope, you can wait. You can be patient.
Is this based on a Letterboxd review you tweeted out?
My entire life right now is just playing Wild RP, Red Dead Redemption. I do nothing else. It's the only thing that I care about now.
Well, last week
fascinating to me. That does not seem like a Danae game. I don't know what a Danae game is. Maybe
it's an RP. It's the RP version of Red Dead.
So that's different.
Redemption
Okay,
online.
I didn't know that.
So Red Dead Redemption 2 is an online game, and what they've done is they have a private server where developers have created their own basically interface over the top of it, and you have to be invited to the server. You have to fill out an application. You have to prove that you're role play, and it's all role play. So it's not like you're getting a quest and you're going and turning in quests. It is entirely a world where you drop into the world and you play a character inside the game itself, and everyone's just walking around talking to each other. So if you see someone in the game that's communicating and talking, it's another person that's actually out there in the world somewhere playing that character that you're interacting with. So you can still do things like get on a horse and shoot people, and you could be a criminal, or you could be a civilian, or you can be a law officer, and you fill these roles. So yeah, that's my life now, guys. I'm sorry. At my free time, I don't watch anything. I don't read comics anymore. I don't play games anymore. I am fully addicted to this game, and I'm loving it, and I am not apologizing for it.
That sounds healthy.
No, you don't need to apologize, but we do have a show to do, so I feel like
I just don't want to. I don't want to watch it.
It is my job to last week we figured out WWE, and you talked about that. By the way, you talked about WWE 3 times as long as Jonathan or I talked about our Beyond the Sins. No, you don't have to be. There's nothing to be sorry for. I'm just going to try to zone in on something that you could talk about. For instance, speaking of
this is my new favorite.
I feel like I have to rush mine because I know Danae is getting annoyed by whatever I'm talking about.
No, I don't get annoyed. I don't get annoyed.
But people want to know what's going on in your life, right?
Don't.
So yes, they do. So
did you get a haircut?
So Danae is now going to tell you about this.
But this segment is not about something else going on in Danae's life.
Pop culture-wise.
It is something about pop culture,
right?
Specifically.
So
by the way,
Iris has pop culture that she's experiencing. Your husband has pop culture that he's experiencing. You have a little bit of the runoff from that. That's why the WWE was kind of an interesting thing. But
my kid loves Octonauts. There you go.
See, that would be a great one. But let's save that one for next week. Because this week you're going to tell the story of when your friend got attacked by a wolf, and you were trying to help your friend who got attacked by a wolf.
Me. Listen, this is me talking about Wild RP, and I did that last week.
That's fine. I'll call it Red Dead. I'll call it Red Dead Redemption 2. I won't call it Wild RP in the show notes this time. Your Beyond the Sins is Red Dead Redemption 2. Tell us a story, Danae, about what happened when you were playing Red Dead Redemption 2 RP.
Oh, this wasn't like a real life wolf?
No, this is in the game. I mean, I guess I could show the clip.
I was like, that is badass. Like Danae's tackling a wolf or something in real life.
Well, my character did.
Totally.
So in this game, you have weapons that you can use to defend yourself against wildlife or people. And so there's shotguns and handguns and bows, and then there's knives, and you have like these slots on your person where you can keep your gear. And my character lives in a house that is frequently visited by wolves. If the door opens a little, they will come in to the house. And so my experience with playing this game is minimal. So I am not good with a gun or defending myself. Like, I'm basically just a big squishy person. But I'm hanging out with someone who's very, very used to the game and is a very strong character. So he's like, I'll go take care of the wolves. And I'm like, cool. So he leaves. And then I hear him get taken out. Like the... So I take my shotgun and go outside, and I aim, and I hit him instead. And so now I have a live wolf.
Her valiant friend who is trying to protect her from the wolves. And she goes outside with a shotgun and shoots him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wolf is like standing over his body, like ripping him up. And it is bloody. There's not a lot of gore in this game, but if you get injured, like it's decently, it's definitely not like horror games level at all, but there's blood and stuff. So yeah, she takes aim, I take aim, and with a shotgun, which you shouldn't do when there's a wolf on top of the person that you're playing with, he was already incapacitated, like he was already kind of out and would have to be revived with what they would call medical RP. So you have to like actually either take him somewhere or whatever. So it's this whole thing. So I run inside, shotgunning, like I'm just shooting
inside the house.
Inside the house, aimlessly. I'm doing a terrible job of it. There's only 4. I've got a repeater or something, so I've got 4 bullets. So I get rid of all of them while I'm running through the house. I run into the bedroom. I corner myself in the corner. Can't jump up on the bed in this game, so I'm just in the corner. Pull out my handgun, and still can't aim with that. And I know that it's already attacking, like it's already got my character's arm in its mouth, and so I can't like just shoot it like this, and I'm really bad at it, and it's about to take me out. So I suddenly realized I have a knife, and so I just knifed that wolf to death, and it was insane. It was insane.
I just wanted you to talk about the part where you shot your friend who had been attacked by a wolf.
That was
amazing.
No. The highlight is that I killed a wolf.
There you go.
Cornered in a room
and
in the last second before. Okay, I also shot somebody accidentally.
Jonathan, what about you? What have you seen?
Do you want to end on a positive note? If so, you should probably go first because it depends on how you want to end this. I'm going to be positive.
Go, be positive. You be positive. Right. I'll be negative. The world will turn upside down. Everybody will wonder what's going on.
So I watched. I watched this movie from 2018. This past week. It's on Hulu, and it is called The Guilty. This is a movie from... Have you seen this, Aaron?
I don't think so.
This is a movie from Denmark, so I guess it's a Danish film, right? Yeah, that's right.
Danish.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry right now. I have no idea.
Danish, but only with garnish on it. Only with garnish.
Yeah.
So anyways, The Guilty from 2018. It's on Hulu right now. And the reason I watched this, I mean, I'd been wanting to see it for a while. I mean, I knew about it, but I found out that there is a American remake that's, I think it's going to be on Netflix in a month or two. Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be in it. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. But I was like, I need to watch the original. This movie is fantastic. It all takes place. It's a police officer who has done something. We don't know what it is at the beginning. We don't find out till toward the end. But he has done something to where he has been taken off normal duty, and he is in the equivalent of our 911 operator. There they call it something else because it's not 911. Obviously, it's in a different country. But they I can't remember what they call it, but he's basically a 911 operator, which I assume is what Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be. The entire movie takes place in this office. He ends up getting a call from a woman who he then believes has been kidnapped. And so he's basically trying to help with the situation from his vantage point, right? He's calling a bunch of people. It's kind of like if Locke took place in a 911 office. I guess is like kind of the best way to describe this. The actor who I'd never seen in anything before was Jacob. I'm gonna go with Sadurgan. I don't know if that's right. But he's really good. I don't know, like I think he's mostly just done films in his country, but he's really good. Gustav Moeller is the director. I had not seen anything else of his. He hadn't done much else. He's got a movie he's working on with Jake Gyllenhaal, actually, that was written by Patrick Ness, who wrote Monster Calls, which is a really good movie. So it's called Snowblind. It's based on a graphic novel, so maybe that's going to come out soon. But this movie, it's just awesome, and it's on Hulu. If you have Hulu, it's like an hour and 25 minutes. And so if you like movies like that where they take place in one location, and you know the way they have to, it's a very creative use of that type of movie, which I appreciated. And it's a pretty great thriller, just because you don't really know what all's going on, and because you're stuck there, you can't see any of these people. They're just voices on the phone, and it's really effective. So it's a high recommend for me. That's called The Guilty.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to talk. I probably oversold it. I am actually not really all that angry at this movie. I watched, I think on Amazon Prime, the movie Annette. And this is Marion Cotillard and Adam Driver, and is a musical, kind of an opera.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's got a very
I'm planning on watching it.
Feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those movies, I think, that is the definition of divisive, right? It's going to be one of those movies that I think you're either going to love or hate, and a lot of that is going to depend on how much you're willing to give yourself to the uniqueness of the format. This is a movie where everybody sings exactly what they're thinking, and not in interesting ways either. So like one of the songs after they have their baby, who is the titular character, Annette, is their baby. They have their baby, and so Adam Driver will turn to the camera and go, this is a baby. This is my baby. You know, like that is the whole movie, is just people singing random uninteresting thoughts. And so I wanted to like this movie so bad because it's so unique, so interesting. Visually, it's kind of cool. Like the baby is not portrayed by an actual infant, or is the child as she grows up. It's portrayed with puppetry. And actually this is the one thing I like about this movie is the progression of the child, both visually, how they do it, the puppetry, that kind of stuff. And also what I think it's saying about parenting, which is how we make parenting about ourselves instead of about the actual human being that we're trying to raise. That's some stuff that I was able to kind of find my way into. But the movie is so over sincere and performative that it reminded me of, do you remember the SNL skits called like High School Home Theater or something like that, where it was like A.D. Bryant and a bunch of the SNL cast, and they would do all these like super artistic things. And and the disease was AIDS. You know, like it's just very over, sincere. That's how I felt during this entire movie, was like, I get it. You're artsy, you're pretentious. Like it's just, so yeah, I had a rough experience with this one and ended up really not liking it. But again, I can totally see how somebody might love it, and I hope you do. Like, I hope you find this like fascinating and interesting and enjoy yourself watching it. But man, I just Annette was not for me. And
had you seen Holy Motors, which was which is probably the most popular film of this director, Leos Carax or Carax? I don't know. Holy Motors is an interesting movie too. You might like it better, I don't know, but they sound kind of similar in a weird way, although they're not the same. But he's definitely got a vision that he 100% goes in with. So Interesting. Yeah. I'm definitely checking it out because it's just sounds too fascinating not to check out.
I'm getting some pushback in the comments. Somebody's saying you can't just have your actors state how they feel. That makes me feel angry. There's a difference between actors stating how they feel and just stating the things that they're doing in objects around them. Like, like there's...
This is a fork.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
This is my cup.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm hungry and thirsty.
Did you see the movie?
Garnish.
Did you see that? It feels like you saw the movie.
This is my life.
That would be amazing if Danae watched like one 2021 movie and it was Annette.
I did have moments where I thought, would Danae love this? Danae might love this. I don't like. There's just something so quirky and
I love Adam Driver too, so I'm always interested to see what he's up to. But
oh my goodness, he plays a stand-up comedian in this, and
that seems weird.
It is so weird. And they show his whole stand-up routine, which is him like, I'm telling a joke now. And this joke made you laugh. Now laugh. And it's just like...
Was this better than the Jim Jarmusch movie? The Only Dead... Oh, what? He's done a couple, but The Only Dead Left Alive, or whatever that one was called. The one with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Where the movie's like just kicking you in the balls the whole time, it
correct.
feels like.
This movie is not trolling you. And that's worse for me. So no, the other one is worse for me. Whatever that one was. The Dead Don't Die. No, that's something else. I don't know. I forget what that was called. I've put it out of my mind. Anyhow, I will soon put Annette out of my mind as well. But before I do,
out of my mind,
I thought I would tell you.
Yeah, Aaron's like watching the movie. He's like, I'm watching Annette.
I'm giving a review now. It is a bad review.
I just like Aaron just tweeted out his Letterboxd review and it just said, I did not like this or something like that. I can't.
Yeah.
It's real simple. Like the star rating in the review didn't say that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. That's Red Dead Redemption 2, The Wolf Scene, as Danae played it. The Guilty on Hulu, and Annette, which is available on Amazon Prime. That's going to do it for Behind the Scenes this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. Hang out with us on Twitter. I am at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, a puppet child, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy Calendar Adjustment Day.
Oh, I had that yesterday. What should I do?
What should I do?
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Let's go. It's time to do the show.
How is everybody?
I want to take a break from heartache. Drive away from all the tears I've cried. I'm a wasteland down inside.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, the whole, like, I would swallow the pond, I would open the mind.
But the lack thereof would leave me empty inside.
Yes.
Swallow my doubt, turn it inside out, found
inside
nothing
out.
but faith in nothing. Want to put my tender heart in a blender.
Heart in a blender, watch it spin away like a beautiful oblivion.
Rendezvous that I'm
through with you.
Well, this is
burn like a wicker cabinet. So wide and oh so frail.
This is fabulous.
I feel our love has gotten stale. You really don't know this song, Aaron?
No, I don't know if I've ever.
Origami.
Oh my God.
You know how like The Office makes me mad?
Oh,
so
no.
does this show.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Really? Like that bad?
I'm curious why the show makes you mad. I just thought it was bland.
I don't know. It hit something in me. I'm like, this is a fucking waste of my God. Just it's like that. Oh, this is so interesting. A character is a different character. Ooh, that's fun. It's like fucking Marvel's Halloween. It's like, oh, that's my sin. Hold on, let me write that down.
this conversation is gonna have to happen again in like a month.
We can talk about just the What If series, but I'm just saying, like, you could do something like Man in the High Castle is a great example. The book,
like alternate histories, alternate universes, right? Yeah.
Love that idea. And but if this is all it's going to be, I have no interest in whatever they're doing in the films either. If this is what they're going to be doing, like, oh look, we're going to this world where Iron Man is actually
Black Widow,
Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Howard the Duck.
I wrote a scene I'm very happy with about Howard the Duck. You'll probably cut it, but I really like it.
I'm going to cut them all. Actually, I just plan on just using your script. Just be like, this is just all Jonathan. Ooh, she has blonde hair. Oh, this is so interesting. Shut up. Sorry.
Well done. Swear singing.
I would swallow my pride. I would choke on the rhymes, but the lack thereof would leave me empty inside. Swallow my doubt, turn it inside out. Nothing, nothing. Want to my tender heart in a blender. Watch us spin around like a beautiful oblivion. Rendezvous, then I'm through with you.
Oh, that was creepy. Danae just lip synced Jonathan live, and it freaked me out quite a bit.
Let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West.
Like Elliot Ness.
The track hits your eardrums like a slug to your chest. So pack a vest for your Jimmy in the city.
Wild Wild West.
We in the sunshine state where the bum ass head be the same. You're never on a dance floor empty up him speak.
Aaron's like, what is this? Who let the dogs out? I don't know what that is. What is this Macarena? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hey, Macarena.
Why are we talking about Pauly Shore like again? Weren't we talking about Pauly Shore last week?
Yep, buddy.
Pauly Shore does not deserve 2 weeks of conversation.
Listen. Pauly is...
Yeah, Biodome. Yeah.
National treasure. Yeah, I have weird memories of comedians growing up. I don't even know the name of this comedian, but there was a special we had taped off TV. Maybe it was like a Young Comics kind of thing, or like New Comics, upcoming comics. And there was this just one guy who I watched over and over again. And I don't even remember who it was, but I still remember those jokes. Like, he would talk about, he was going to San Jose, and somebody said, well, you don't pronounce the J in San Jose.
That sounds really familiar.
And they were like, well, how long are you going to be there? And he goes, through Hune and July. Like, I don't, like, that joke of all things just like has stayed with me for 30 years or whatever. It's just, it's funny to hear this. Oh, and the other one was like,
that sounds really familiar.
The other one that just is vividly in my brain is the guy was like, man, if you go out to the East Coast, they are so rude over there. I was like staying in a hotel and I heard a knock on the door and they said housekeeping. And he said, I'm not ready. They're like, housekeeping, I need to come in and clean up. And he was like, okay. And he said, I opened the door. They came in, took a shower, and left. I was just like, why does this stand out to me?
I don't know. That's kind of gold.
Because once I kind of know what will get someone to kind of crack open, I love to explore that, which is part of the entertainment part of my brain. And it ended up with me taking out 3 shelves of the refrigerator and climbing inside of it. I just love making people laugh, and that's in a moment. That's something that like you do in a moment. And I'll never forget it because, well, 1, it was cold, but 2, I didn't actually fit. And 3, it kind of hurt. But 4, my friend fell down the stairs because she was laughing so hard she couldn't like.
Nice.
She just kind of like was sitting on the floor, and then she was laughing, so she was in stitches.
You killed her.
And she just kind of like dunk, 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 dunk down these stairs. And it's like one of those standout things like that happens with all my friends groups where there's just these moments where we burst into laughter.
Imagine like the mom coming in though, and like her kid is like her head is open and bleeding, and Danae's in a refrigerator with no shelves.
It's like the Hangover. I'm a squishy person, and I used to be very fit. Like where I'm like, oh yeah, there was a time I could have done something like that, where if I was so dedicated to being in balance and having this like incredible connection to the strength of the body, anyhow, I'm just fucking obsessed with watching this shit. Like, I'm right now, instead of looking at you guys, watching PSO Atlantic pole champion Ashley Fox, a 2021 video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's insane.
It's astonishing.
I'm confused.
Gravity is not working the same in that building as in most places. There's different physical physics. Yes.
Like how is she holding on to this pole? How?
Yeah, they have pole dancing classes at some places.
Yes, they do.
It's not for people that are wanting to be strippers.
No, I would love to like believe that there would come a day where maybe I could like not fall down. So that's number one.
Seem like achievable
Danae
goals.
needs to learn how to walk a little bit better.